Hello. How do the measures, restrictions, stay-at-home orders, masks, etc., affect the incidence of other viruses, the other guys, the ones that currently most people don't think about? Now, interestingly, from June 23, there were new COVID restrictions beginning 4 p.m. Masks, not traveling outside the city, public transport capacity limits, limiting household guests to 0, I think. Visitors to households will be limited to 5 guests, not 0. So you can have five guests, which is not bad. Drinking while standing at indoor venues is not allowed, so you can only sit and drink. Interesting restriction. Singing by audience in indoor shows or by congregants in indoor places of worship will not be allowed. That is a weird... Dancing will not be allowed. That makes sense. Dancing is annoying. Dance in gym classes limited to 20 per class, but you can't dance anyway, so I mean, you could just stand there and look at each other. The 1 person per 4 square meter rule will be reintroduced for all indoor and outdoor settings. The Australians are really good with numbers, apparently. Is it a circle or a square? I wonder. So outdoor seated events will be limited to 50% seated capacity, which is good. So you have more space. These restrictions are designed to reduce the risk of further community transmission. Now note that none of these restrictions is COVID specific. They're all likely to achieve an effect against any virus because traditional viruses also need contact between people. They also thrive in closed places and they also enjoy dancing and singing. So all of these are in general against viruses. So we would expect a drop. Let's look at adenovirus. So this is the last data point and it is for 2021. So the red, by the way, the red dots are 2021 and the blue dots are 2020. So in March, April 2020, adenovirus fell like all other viruses, but then it kind of went back to exactly its seasonal pattern. And we were looking at it before and saying that it's exactly on the line, but maybe a bit higher, and now it is indeed picking up and it is a bit higher than usual. Adenovirus seems to be somewhat oblivious to the restrictions and not oblivious to the weather. Now, interesting to see if here it's going to break, or because it seems to have peaked earlier, maybe it will break here. So I suspect that the adenovirus numbers are going to go down sometime in August. PINF. It is not considered an important, clinically very important virus, but it can cause severe pneumonia sometimes. Influenza. Again, 2021 measures. Again, 2021 incidence curve, incidence per week. I was saying before that if the restrictions have been added at any point, it has apparently no effect on the incidence of parainfluenza, and here they are clearly not very effective against PINF. And the gray line is the average, and you see that the gray line is around maximum 500 cases per week, and now we are at 2,000 cases per week. Back it's up from 1,500 last time we checked. So PINF is thriving. Now HMPV is a really weird one because look at 2020, okay, that's the blue line. And we see here that the red shade is 2021, so ignore it. So you see that it's kind of going up a bit and then going down. It's kind of going up a bit, going down. Kind of going up a bit, going down. So it's not really picking up, and this is the season for HMPV. And in 2021 it was really, really low, actually throughout 2021. And we saw this. This was the only thing we saw. I don't know what causes this. And we were asking, is it going to pick up? Because if they're going to put restrictions, until now the restrictions seem to have worked. So every time it picked up, it was shut down, right? The virus doesn't normally do it unless there's some force doing it. So something was affecting HMPV strongly. And then here we noticed this small uptick, and now this small uptick is really picking up. So we were at less than 100 cases 3 weeks ago, and now we are at 300, a bit over 300 cases. So the cases are indeed picking up. If the measures used to work against HMPV, they don't seem to work no more. RSV was this was the big thing about RSV in 2020, and when we were looking here, we were here actually, and I was asking, is it going to come back to season? And if it peaks around here, so basically within 2 weeks it's going to peak and then come down, then it's back to season. So RSV is back to normal, and it is also, as we can see, seems to be measures resistant. So MR plus, measures resistant. Human rhinovirus is really interesting because, again, like everyone else, it dropped on the initial measures. The initial measures were ridiculously effective. I don't know what they did in April 2020, but do that again, because that just kills all the viruses. Like really kills all the viruses. Look at that. All the viruses die. Human rhinovirus is sort of, it doesn't really have a strong seasonality. It was peaking in 2020 in July, and it seemed like it was coming back to kind of the normal trend, and it's keeping on the normal trend. So, what are the lessons from analyzing this data from New South Wales, Australia? It appears that the measures, the preventive measures, whatever they may be, worked fantastically well in March, April 2020, and maybe even May. If we look at this period, it's amazing for all the viruses are done, except adenovirus here. You see adenovirus by May, adenovirus begins to be resistant to the measures. And RSV only gains resistance, or develops resistance to the measures around October. So, but March, April, the restrictions, whatever they were, in New South Wales worked nearly 100% against all viruses. Maybe not COVID, I'm not looking at COVID. I'm not even considering it. Okay? This is the other guys. Enough people are focusing on COVID. To this day, July 2021, the measures are still amazingly effective at preventing the importation and keeping the level of influenza ridiculously low. However, essentially all the other viruses have developed complete resistance to the measures. They seem to respond way more to the season or to something else than to the humans. Thank you for listening. Think about this, and if you know a doctor in Australia, ask them, what is the implication of HMPV going up so fast during June? Can it be related to the rise in bronchitis during June when RSV remained relatively stable? Oh yeah.